So, when you think of PS1 horror titles, what do you normally think of? Probably think of such great titles as, I don't know, Cold Blood or Nightmare Creatures, but you probably don't think of Hellnight. There's a number of reasons for this, which we'll get into shortly. For right now, though, I think the intro will explain pretty much everything. That was certainly a lot to take in at one time, and sadly, we do not have so much time to reflect on that, as we are now trapped in what appears to be a dead end with a dangerous monster banging right behind us. So, this game is a bit of an oddity in a number of ways for the PS1. First off, it is initially what appears to be a point-and-click adventure, but, well, let's go ahead and investigate what this room has to offer. We have a locked floorboard panel here. And we've already seen a means to open up the floorboard, which is this nearby crowbar. So we might as well go ahead and pick that up. And just to make sure we cover all of our bases, even though we do have a way to open up the floorboard now, we might as well check out the machinery nearby. You never know, we might end up missing something. And it doesn't seem like it initially, but there is an item waiting inside, and it is a handy-dandy compass. And while it may not seem like we may need a compass with these point-and-click screens, this is not the entirety of the game. But with our crowbar, let's go ahead and open up the floorboard here. And even though it may not seem like the best idea, going down this dark flight of steps is currently our only avenue of escape. And pretty abruptly and unceremoniously, we are dumped into the save screen. For right now, though, we haven't really done that much, so we won't worry about saving. So here we find ourselves in the real meat and potatoes of the game itself. Though we do have to, well, for one thing, get across the fact that our protagonist is very astute, but also that, more or less, even with that highly explanatory intro sequence, we and our female companion here have no idea what on earth is going on right now. I mean, we saw Space Marines, we saw cultists, it's apparently Y2K, everything's just going to hell in a handbasket, but at least we are reaffirmed by the fact that this young girl's name is Naomi. Not sure why they were calling her young girl when in the intro they were calling her Naomi. But nevertheless, what we should get from all of this is that our main impetus is that we need to find our way out of the sewer. Because I get a feeling that whatever attacked the subway train is probably still somewhat close behind us. But, yeah, the main gameplay itself is going to be played from the first-person 3D perspective. Pretty lovely for the PS1, I should say. But we also have a few other controls, such as a handy-dandy menu, or map that we can bring up, because the stages will be pretty sprawling. We also have the ability to run pretty fast, though there are some limitations to that. And in addition, if we ever feel the want to, we can talk to our companion. Though, I would say for the most part, Naomi really doesn't give us too useful information just by poking her for general conversation. But pretty quickly, we do find one of the few items that we'll be finding in this 3D environment, which is a very strange looking key card. Now, keep in mind that we did see this icon on the main menu, but for right now we don't have any real idea what this icon is supposed to be for, outside of the fact that it seems to make our protagonist somewhat uncomfortable. Also, I will not be covering every possible map square in the game. If it's pretty obviously a dead end, I'll try to save you guys from having to watch me ram my face into it just to cover it entirely on the map. If anything, I am pretty glad that we were able to go away from that monster. At least temporarily. So while it's not as imposing as it was in that little intro cinematic, I do want to say you do want to get away from the monster as quickly as possible, because the fact that there is no on-screen health bar pretty much indicates that we will die in one hit to this monster. And as you can probably assume, neither me nor the high school girl currently has any means of defense against the monster, as of right now. Instead, we just have to use our superior speed and our great human intelligence to get away from the monster. Well, I don't think that's what you really do with the Switch, but sure, why not? Yeah, this game was not originally released outside of Japan. It did get a port into the PAL region later on, but yeah, it still has some problems. So before we can continue on, as we are gradually probably electrocuted here, we do have to find a means to turn off the power. Our journey in Hellnight is going to be impeded not only by that horrible creature chasing after us, but by a number of puzzles that we'll have to solve. But we can duck into any number of doors, which will present us with the static screens that we saw before. Now, that isn't to say that every room will have something useful. In this case, we just have some background flavor text that we can get if we happen to investigate the machinery, but there's not always items in every room. Though there are sometimes hints that something grisly may have happened sometime in the past here. If anything, though, it's always good to investigate every door just to make sure of which ones are or are not locked. But already in this maintenance room, we can see something of interest here. And, well, I guess we're not going to be able to get this key since the key holder's locked. Or, yeah, yet again, this is another mistranslation probably, because if we investigate the key holder again, it mentions that there are no more locks. I assume someone on their end just managed to mix up the word key and locked for some reason, but Either way, we have a key now. I'm sure it will be useful in the coming corridors. But yet again, Naomi springs into action using her very special ability. She informs us that the monster, for some reason, is holding its breath in an effort to surprise us. I don't think that's how that works, and we'll never see that mechanic again, but if we bring up the map now, we can see that there is a pulsating yellow square near our white square, which is us, and that is the monster. Now, Naomi, for some reason or another, has a very special sixth sense that will be able to tell us whenever there is danger or the monster nearby. And the good thing is the monster is something akin to maybe a puppy or a kitten in that it does not have an opposable thumb, so we can safely hide in any of these rooms that we can access and hide out for a little bit in hopes that the danger will pass. Now, the odd thing is that the time that passes in these rooms I don't think is set up exactly with the 3D world. So you sometimes have to make rough guesses as to how far the monster may or may not have traveled. You also have to keep a vague guessing game in your mind as to what the monster's patrol path might be. In this special case, he doesn't have a massive patrol path, but we do have to be a little bit careful because he is pretty much patrolling right in front of the door we need to get into. If we give him a wide enough berth, we can easily get into the door here. And with another great stock sound effect, we can pretty much ascertain the fact that we are in the correct room. And while initially we are greeted by what could easily be a very complex puzzle, it's in fact pretty simple. Yep, there we go. We solved the puzzle of the electrocuting water. Though I did like the possibility that Naomi was just staying there getting slowly electrocuted, and that's why she was kind of stuttering in her speech. But with that, I think our pathway should be clear. The monster does not know, hopefully, where we might be heading, but we're pretty much in the same boat ourselves. Oh, and yeah, you saw right there just the effect of what happens if you happen to run for too long. Our protagonist seems to have something of a mild cardiac arrest or something. He's not the healthiest guy in Japan, I should say. I mean, he can run for pretty long distances, and I assume he's keeping Naomi in some kind of papoose on his back, but yeah, we can't run forever. Especially considering that we seem to have reached a dead end, but if we look around, we'll see there's indeed a gap between the rubble. And yet again, it's just the only possible place we can go, so even though it doesn't seem like the safest avenue, it's pretty much our only avenue, so let's go ahead and squeeze.